It is a
Recording in progress.
I love being recorded. It is a multi-billion dollar industry that is happening in the background. That's scary as all get out. I used to think that you were crazy when you would say, share your location with me. I want to put a tracker in your car to make sure you get to places okay. I want to make sure that you're with good people all the time. And it was because you cared. Now, we're going to do something to help Tanya make things a lot easier on herself. Right now, she is quite literally walking up and down the I-35 corridor herself, handing out, and I'm sorry this is crass, but it's going to be said, she hands out condoms and birth control to these girls. She also gives them resources like diapers that their children need, because a lot of times these women go into sex trafficking because they need money for simple things like diapers, formula, baby wipes, because there's a need. She stops that. She gives them the diapers, which is why I'm asking each and every one of you to bring items for Tanya this weekend, or not this weekend, next weekend.
Next weekend.
Bring diapers, bring formula, bring baby wipes, bring clothes. These girls have to turn in their clothes when they go through the forensics exams. And it is so degrading for them to have to walk out of the hospital in scrubs because it targets them. So Tanya's asking for sweatpants.
We'll do it.
She's asking for bras. She's asking for underwear. And each donation item that you bring, here's the fun part for you guys, because it's not all Debbie Downer here. You will get some pretty cool swag items, right?
Yes.
You'll be entered into a raffle for swag items. And the more items you bring, the more chances you have to win, right? So let's talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing for Tanya in the stand-up weekend. So if you could go ahead and go to the next slide. Yes. Okay. And then turn off the noise on that and just play the video. I'm trying to show you guys.
Share the screen this time.
Anyway, while Paul is bringing
We're not technical people, so I'm so sorry.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Sales.
You need a producer for you.
You know, I just thought you would know at this point. I think if you click this button down here on the video itself. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna play it. So these are some of the photos that were taken from 2018 when we last did Tanya's stand-up. You will see some familiar faces. This is Tanya. You will get to meet her. She is the friendliest person you will ever meet. And some of the things that we're going to be doing over the weekend is we are going to be increasing her security. Yes, because these girls have sensitive information. Yes.
Yes.
We're going to be setting up a donor system for her and the nonprofit starter pack, which I implore each and every one of you to go and do your trailhead, and you will be entered into another special raffle. We're Oprah here. Everybody gets a raffle. So if you complete your trailhead and you show one of the lovely ladies or gentlemen at sign-in, you will be entered into a special raffle. Sorry.
No, you're staying camera.
Thank you.
I don't have a cameraman.
That's okay. That's okay. So you can see our lovely group of volunteers. We have some very familiar faces here, and we are so excited to have each and every one of you join our team. And I am so sorry. Should I just stand here?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't move from here. I'll just stand here. How about that? Okay. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a ton of fun. What's in it for you guys is a lot of real world experience. I noticed a lot of students in the crowd this evening, and I know the big thing that is on y'all's mind is how do I get real world experience if I can't get someone to hire me, right? This is your experience. This is a real world application. And guess what? I'm going to support each and every one of you by providing a LinkedIn badge for you that you can put on your LinkedIn to show hiring managers or recruiters that, hey, I have real experience in Salesforce. you should hire me because I've done X, Y, and Z over the weekend. Isn't that something you look for when you're hiring, Dad?
Yeah. So this dilemma is real, right? If you haven't worked in a real live org and you're a student, number of our people today are students. If you haven't worked in a real live org and all you've got is your certifications, then finding that first job is difficult. On the other hand, how do you gain the experience if you haven't worked in an org? And what we found historically through all our previous stand-ups is that this is kind of your way in, because you're working in a real org. You'll be solutioning around real security issues, around real processes, all those things. Now it's condensed, to be sure, right? You're doing it all in one weekend, but it's that thing that allows you to open the door a little further. The students in my CRM class are also going to do a complete analysis of the various processes that Tanya has in her org. That's another document that you can use to show prospective employers. So it's not just simply us giving to Tanya, giving back to her, but it's also gaining the experience under the tutelage of some real experts. The folks leading each of the groups has been doing this for many, many years. And while they're humble people, mostly, they are spectacularly brilliant. They lead orgs in the largest companies in the Metroplex. So I urge you to learn from them as well. So yeah, that's what's in it for the attendees.
Exactly. Of course, there's going to be free food. We have some incredible sponsors. Credit Union of Texas is supplying food trucks for Friday night dinner and Saturday night dinner. So you will be well fed. We will have little bundt cakes for you, I think, on Friday night, and tons of food for breakfast, lunch. And then, of course, on Sunday, I don't know how many of you guys attended Dad and Paul's dev groups before COVID. They always had cake, and I like that idea. So I brought that idea back, and we will have cake at the end. There will be a big celebration, and we're going to turn over Tanya's org to her. So throughout the weekend, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some training for Tanya and her team. She's going to bring about 3 people and herself as well. And it's going to be your task to teach her how to use what you've just built. And you're going to answer her questions. And you're going to explain things to her over and over and over again until you can look me in the eye and tell me, yeah, she's got it. She's going to go back and she knows how to use this so confidently. And her team knows how to use this so confidently that it will not get in the way of what they are doing. So that way they can continue going out and rescuing these girls and boys. And I don't think I finished my thought on how it's not just sex trafficked workers, it's also slave labor. And it's a lot of times boys. A lot of them get pulled in to actually coercing the girls to come to these places. And a lot of times that they do it for money or they do it for drugs. They're not in great places to begin with a lot of times, which is what Tanya does by providing rehabilitation for them. She provides, of course, drug rehabilitation as well as therapy, and all legal fees are covered under her program. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what her program is like when you go in through the cycle. So, of course, the girl is picked up at some location, and the number 1 priority is to get her to the safe house. At that point, she is a rescue. She has been rescued from her situation. Tanya then has an inventory form that she fills out, which we are going to automate for her through Salesforce. And it takes in things like date of birth, how many kids they might have, if they have any relatives that they are still speaking to, if they have any STDs, STIs, any medical conditions, if they need medical help right then and there. That is what the intake form is about. Then they go to the safe house and they rest. That is when their process of being a victim starts. Throughout the next 2 years, Tanya spends an enormous amount of time and energy, and of course money, into helping these girls and boys become productive members of society. That also includes helping them learn how to do specific tasks and skills so that way they can get a job in the world once they've gone through her program. They save up enough money to live on their own. They obviously go through some financial coursework as well to make sure that Tanya is just not letting them loose in the world without the resources that they need in order to thrive. And that is when they become thrivers, is when they graduate from her program. But Tanya doesn't stop there. She does what is called a wraparound program. Now, the wraparound program is a little weird, in my opinion, to be called a wraparound program because it's not really that. It is a continued check-in throughout the rest of this person's life. So she will continually check in with these people saying, hey, are you doing okay? Do you have the resources you need? What do you need right now? Are you doing X, Y, and Z that we talked about? Making sure that they have everything in place so that way they can continue to thrive. If that doesn't happen, they come back into the program. So I've just laid out a couple of things for requirements,
Processes.
processes.
Okay.
Forgive me, I'm still a little new to the Salesforce world. I'm still learning the lingo. But we're gonna now kind of get into the fun part, which is where y'all come in. And if you could click to the next slide. I would love to introduce our team leads. Can we give a big hand to our team leads, please?
Yeah.
Team leads, please stand up if you are here. All righty.
And where's
Shawnee.
Sunita is somewhere. Sunita is right there.
Sunita.
Go ahead and stand up, please.
That's okay. That's awesome. We're so happy to
you
have
are
you.
a team lead even though you don't know it.
It's okay. March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We need you for all 3 days.
All right.
But we're going to start with Miss Shawnee over here.
I used to be in education, so I don't even know that I need this. Is that better? Oh, sorry. My apologies. I'm very excited about this weekend. My team will be the security team. So, I mean, obviously, security is important in any Salesforce org or any CRM. But this particular org, security means lives, right? And so even though the org is existing and they do have some profiles, we're going to kind of redefine those profiles and possibly set up some roles. So it will determine what the internal users can see and then what they can do with that information. In addition to that, we're going to implement multi-factor authentication so that it has to have, just another extra layer of security. So if you would like to be on the security team, we're gonna rock.
Woohoo! All righty. Next we have Navid.
Thank you, Shani. Hi, my name is Naveed Hussain, and I'm a technical lead at USA. My background is I've been in Salesforce since 2011, and have been an avid developer user group member. We started very small group. But for this particular project, I was involved 5 years ago, and I'm happy to be back to support this project again. My team is going to be process team. We are going to concentrate on case management primarily because right now we don't have a web to case tool that was developed for this organization. So we can capture the cases as they come in and how that can be disseminated within the organization, how it can be managed. And that's what we are going to concentrate on.
Thank you. Nishita.
Hey everyone, good evening. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so my name is Nishita and I'll be leading the reports and analytics team on the weekend of March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. What we'll be mostly doing is probably having a discovery with the clients and understanding what their requirements are, what kind of reports they'd like to see. If you are already aren't aware, Salesforce has its own reporting system. So that makes it a little easier. We try and put an effort to bring in the data into Salesforce and then build the reports and provide them with the dashboards that they'll need. So that's what we'll be doing, and looking forward to that weekend.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nishita. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you.
Little thing, Nishita used to actually be part of our T-Digital team, and we miss her very, very much.
I miss you all.
All righty, moving on. Did that work? I'll just let you go to the next slide because you're actually up next.
Okay,
This is Paul.
yeah. I know nobody's heard of me, and I'm so quiet, I kind of fade into the background a lot. As you know, I'm very excited about this, and one of the things we learned from the last implementation that we all worked very hard on, and you saw the slides and pictures of us working. We're worried that we didn't hit the mark with our client and that they're not able to use it very much, or at least it doesn't do what they need to. So the team that I'm hoping to lead up is going to be trying to reanalyze the requirements and make sure that when we deliver something, that it'll actually be usable. So we're going to go business analysis, a little user experience, and then try and sweep across the requirements and make sure that we've got them tuned so our client actually uses them. The other half of that will be working back and forth to do training. So our primary user is Tanya. She is constantly directly involved with doing the actual work. We want to make it as easy as possible for her to use the tool that we're building for her. So that'll be kind of my team's main goal and my process, just kind of look across everything and work through that and just make sure that we're getting her what she needs and trying to look at it through her eyes and deliver that experience to her and make sure that it's usable.
The most important. Right?
It's important to me. I have a little bit invested in UX.
So can I say one additional thing that Paul did not mention? This is Paul's passion, the idea of UX and how to architect systems. And I think we're very lucky to have him on this team. He is an author. He's just completing his most recent tome, which a good portion of that relies on usability, not just process usability and UX usability, but overall keeping data, kind of the sanctity of data. So when he volunteered for the usability team, I knew we had somebody top notch there. For the remainder of today's event, I want to rely heavily on Paul to talk to us about what different users have different types of requirements in terms of UX. We all live in the UX that Salesforce has provided, and we say, well, that's the easiest UI UX ever. And it's only because we're familiar with it. But we'll find out from Paul's discussion that the UI UX that is necessary when you're in the middle of the field, potentially in harm's way, you don't have the option of going through many menus to do an intake, right? This is not your primary thought. So is the Salesforce UI UX the best UI to use in that? This is a deep conversation that we've had. And I think that those of you who are on Paul's team are going to understand the psychology of being able to put the data in correctly in the manner that the user wants to put it in, not in the manner that Lightning prescribes. So I think we have one of the nation's leaders in that topic in Paul. So I wanted to make sure that we kind of knew the expertise that we've got in Paul.
Everyone here.
Can I dovetail into Sunita?
Please do.
All right. So Sunita is International Lady of History. You notice that the rest of us have our photographs up there, but Sunita doesn't. I've asked Sunita to oversee the donor process. There's a donor process that Salesforce has prescribed on our behalf. I've asked Sunita to make sure that that's happening correctly. I'll tell you something that went terribly wrong a couple of months ago with this client. Their donor process broke and it cost them, we think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000. And to this group, that is a life and death type thing. And it was something incredibly tiny. They had a gala happening, and it's a target-rich environment. And if your donor process fails when you've got donors in the room, you may never pick those dollars up again. And so I've asked Sunita to mastermind that. Sunita, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Actually, I just came with my friend here today, not knowing this is the event, though I did sign up with Sarah a week ago for whatever that she was doing. I said, yes, I will help her out. But then whatever she was going through her, I think, initial what was going to happen, that I missed it because I was out of town and I told her I'm not in town. And then today I just landed like 5 o'clock today in the airport. And then my friend said, oh, there's a developer event. You want to go Salesforce? I said, okay. And then I just see, and then she was talking about it. I still didn't connect any of this things. So this is like a very funny story for me, but Moez is not anything, he's not new to me. I've been working with him for like almost 10 years now. I've taught a lot of 401, 501, whatever they used to be called then, and now the numbers are different. I actually work as a senior manager in Salesforce. And actually, it also happens to be work as a cloud lead, acting that too. And then in the industry cloud, where the .org and non-profit organization, actually, I do completely work with them. And this is a surprise for me, where I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay. Thank you.
I'm not going to let Dad introduce himself.
Before we do that, I've got Sunita on speed dial, by the way, for any of those of you who, whenever I've got an intractable problem and I can't solve it, right? Sunita, please, how do I solve this? So that's the caliber of person we've got. All right, back to you.
And we have with Wall.
Who likes to talk, which is why he's on training.
Exactly.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Sarah. Guys, I'm quite passionate about this. We've been doing it for many years now. And I think those of you who've been with us know kind of who I am. So I'd like to skip ahead rather than giving you my resume. I'd like to skip ahead and talk about the solutioning for the stand-up weekend for March 3rd. What are we going to do, right? When you look at a challenge of this type, you've got somebody like Tanya, and she comes to you and she says, I'm kind of lost, right? I've got pieces of paper everywhere, and even where I've got things in Excel, they're in silos, and I'm really overwhelmed. I don't know what to do on accounting day. I don't know what to do on January 1st when I have to give my donors a printout of their donations. I don't know how to take care of donors who had committed to me, give me $10,000, $12,000 this year, $1,000 a month, and then they ran into financial problems middle of the year, I need to write off some of that ask. How do I do this? And it's our job to kind of sit down with her and say, well, there's a lot of what you are asking us to do, which people have done before you, right? It's challenging to you, but there are processes that we know that you can bring to bear. So part one is to say, what are the best practices that we already are aware of? And let's fold those in first. There's no reason to reinvent how to do the report on donations if Salesforce has already given us one of those reports. So while to her, it's a major mountain, to us, there's a lot of what we hear from her, which is just standard process. And we know that something like the Nonprofit Success Pack already has it tackled. And so that's the donor part, right? It's to convince Tanya where we think the best practice is reflected in the Salesforce process. It's our job to convince her to use that process and to simplify the UI UX to the point where she can use it, right? So that's step number one. While we're hearing those requirements from her, we also have to be cognizant of these organizations each have their own secret sauce. Now, those of you who are in my class have heard me talk about this bifurcation, right? When you identify best practices from industry, use those. Salesforce already has those baked into some of their processes, okay? But your client will always tell you, but you know what sets me apart from my competitors is this little thing. I do this thing better than anybody else in the world, right? And we call that the secret sauce. Now, when you get to secret sauce, when you identify secret sauce in your discovery process, you need to jot it down and say, you know what, in this case, we're going to program a secret sauce for Tanya, for our client, whether it's a corporate client or whether it's a charity. In this case, there are certain pieces of the puzzle that Tanya tells us she does better than anybody else. It's not the donor process. She'll readily admit that the donor process, she would like somebody to tell her how to do. But the rescue process, right? The rescue process itself is quite amazing, the way she does this. The way that over the years, she's determined, well, once I get a girl in my protection program, now what next? Do you know that we, all of us who aren't part of that world, we think that once she calls them clients, which I think is wonderful. Once a client has been rescued, we think that that's the end of the story, right? Give her or him a leg up, maybe some clothes, a job, and they're off and running. That's actually totally false. It couldn't be further from the truth. Many times when a victim comes to us, they don't actually even want to be rescued. They have no clue that their situation is dire and that they need to break out of the cycle. So Tanya recognizes that. So what she's done over the years is she's layered on services. Bring the child or bring the client in. If the client has children, you have to make arrangements for that child as well. You can't separate that. You cannot rescue a young girl and leave her children with her captors. That's not, even just us intuitively know that that's wrong. But she's recognized that. So what we're going to talk about first this evening is the process, right? And we haven't got the process completely baked yet. The weekend off, we're going to be diving deep into each of the process items, and we will kind of make tweaks along the way. And I do believe that Navid is the absolute right person to lead that effort. When we heard from Tanya, my thought was, well, okay, we have this client which we can implement in the contact record and keep her life's information on the contact record. As we got talking about it, Navid brought up the really excellent idea that really what we're talking about is case management, not client management, but case management. Navid, you originally wanted to do intake. Do we have another microphone? Sarah, can you? You'll need a microphone as well in a moment. So Navid, kick us off on this discussion, if you will. A client comes in, we create a new contact, right? The only information we potentially know at that point is the client's name. We may not even know date of birth and other things.
Correct. Yeah.
And maybe a short description of what the circumstances are. So that's day one, that's item one. There are a few things that need to happen immediately, right? Like finding housing. In fact, maybe even before finding housing, finding somebody to actually execute the rescue. The rescue is a very dangerous piece of the puzzle. So do we do cases from right off the bat? Like we create a contact and have a process immediately create a case to execute on the rescue? How early do we start the case system?
I think the case needs to happen at the very inception of the contact that Tanya makes with the person who needs to be rescued. That's your intake form, right? So basically you do maybe 1 or 2 fields of intake, which is your name, a way to, whatever description you want to put. Initially, when you submit it, a case is generated. A case will then dictate in terms of the process in the case, what initial things are needed that we can, progress this case to different steps. So as for example, let's assume that this client needs an evaluation done immediately or physical evaluation. And obviously they're coming out of this, horrific place. Then our case should simply tell them what are the next steps and what are the results and so they can document all this, right? You have to document what is happening to this client.
Okay.
And what is the next step that they need to move forward to. I think this is what the case management is all about. You follow the case from every single step as it is moving to forward to its end, basically, what the solution is going to be at the end stop of the case. So a client can have multiple cases. It is not one single case. This is the first case. So if you have down the road, if that same client needs further needs, right? The follow-up needs that need to be done. That's another case. So every single case manages under that client. So you can see a holistic view of what is the progression of this client. And then from there, you can use your analytics, reports, metrics, whatever. Paul, you had a question on that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wanted to. Yeah. Navid, maybe we can talk later on. I know this is not the forum today, but I was thinking, have you guys thought about action plan? Okay, so that also could be another option that we can go with.
Yeah, they're different. I mean, this is not, all.
No, I know. We can.
We're just throwing ideas. What is the best approach?
Yeah.
For the time being.
All right. So let's kind of start to move this ball forward, right? So a case originally initiates a client, and thereafter we have different styles of cases, intake form, evaluation forms. All these generate a type of a case, and the cases then go through their various stages. Or they may be a simple thing where they open, somebody does an evaluation and closes the case, or recommends a new case style to be opened. The client themselves. The client on the contact object, are you envisioning that we have different stages on the client object as well that demonstrates where in the process of rescue to thriver that person is? Or do you think that it's so fluid that we will never really be able to put a client in a stage?
First of all, your client will exist.
Correct, yes, yeah.
So whatever fields you want to introduce to that, regarding that, that's where it's all.
Okay,
So, I mean, that's where all the client information, personal. So, I mean, that's where what I was thinking.
okay.
As far as the case goes, it's related to, to that particular client only, and that it's related to that particular record, right? So case has a client. A client has a case.
Client has multiple cases.
Multiple cases, yeah, it's one-to-many relationship. Yeah.
Intake form and all of that is on the contract. And then that contract has.
Correct. Yeah.
What do you have some insight on this?
Well, so, yeah, I want to ruin things a little bit or take us a level up and have a tiny story to start this out with about one of the 400 times I was almost fired at 7-Eleven. I got asked to build a form. I got asked to build a web form for the system that we ran that was in all 10,000 of our stores. And the business users talked me through, and they got through about 15 or 16 form questions, and they were about halfway done. And they were getting more and more complicated with this field drives that field, and this would happen, and these people can see that. And then the next question was, anybody actually shot during this break-in or this robbery? And I'm looking at the 15, 30 some odd fields that they're asking people to fill out as a report of, I just was held up in my store. I was just robbed. And they're supposed to fill out all these forms. We had a bunch of validation rules. So that form missed persona and moment. That I stopped the whole thing as I'm not building this. I'm not asking somebody that just had a gun in their face to fill out these fields and make sure that the phone number is formatted properly. It should be a button that says, I was robbed, have somebody call me for this information and tell me I'm okay. And it was a complete miss. So for this, what I would ask, the people that were asking me to fill out the form were not happy with me when we actually reviewed that and talked to our client and relations. Yeah, they bailed me out yet again. So
from a UX standpoint, do we think that an intake happens on the mobile phone?
it probably happens on the mobile, but what I want to know as my first question is, who are our users? From what I felt last time, it's just Tanya. And if we're serving just Tanya or just her and her one or two helpers, the complexity of our solution needs to kind of match the capability that one person can handle. So that's my first question.
The answer to that.
Okay.
Are we serving just Tanya, or is she ready to scale?
She is ready to scale. She is bringing 3 additional people that I've asked her to bring, and it will be important. They are brand new to Salesforce, absolutely brand new. I've given them some trailheads, but they will need.
They're ready to scale. So,
Yeah.
so the answer here, Navid, is that we have to be aware of the moment, right? And what they're willing to give us in the moment. That's important. But also that this may not be done. That's where the security comes in. Should we increase? So the intake form. What information should be available to the intake person? It could be just a volunteer, right? Let's say that you and I are volunteers. She calls us up and she says, there's a child in your neighborhood signed up as a volunteer, go do a rescue. Right? We should not be aware of the family thing. There are things that we need to be concerned about from a security standpoint on the intake form. There are things on the immediacy. Right? So those are two things that I think we
Guys, you said a very, very interesting thing that struck my mind. It's like, oh, sorry. Sorry, this is Andy. When you were saying that, well, Tanya has, when she gets a call, she has to send somebody out to the field and they have to go there and get some intake forms and all that.
not always.
Not
Yeah,
always,
there is one of
sometimes.
the-
So what I was thinking, I have worked with certain clients and they use field service lightning for those kinds of things. They send people, they optimize the best possible person to send at the same time. And they have these mobile forms, which they take to the field and right up there, they write down. And like you said, Paul, that it has to be optimized for minimal number of options so that automatically things can be pre-filled from whatever
What do
data
they
we
need?
have of
Yeah.
that person and so on and so forth. So the idea is field services might be helpful.
So the question I had was, in our initial discussions, when we were talking to Tanya, I got two views of it. One is the case manager who's actually taking the intake information. And the second one is from the rescuer or the client side of it. How they are getting in touch with Tanya and what should that initiate in that? I mean, right now it's just a call, obviously the 800 number or whatever. And what if that particular person also has access, in terms of what that initial call can initiate automatically into our system. So that,
The case manager that's one of the three people that's yet to
Right.
be hired.
Yeah.
Do we know what technical level of skill these people are gonna have? Probably, okay.
right, so intake manage, it's just like when we go to the hospital initially, right, to emergency, they provide you a little tablet and says, can you fill out this basic information, right? So it has to be minimum because you don't want to have a thesis to be filled out. Very simple questions, in one or two or maybe three max, and that automatically creates, whatever the process is behind that. Or when you submit it, whatever it initiates in Salesforce, it needs to initiate. So, but from the person who's getting rescued, what capabilities they have in terms of getting in touch with this entity that is rescuing them, if they have, if they are using a mobile device or whether they have a call, whether they have web access. So if they are going to do that, then maybe we also providing that aspect of it that they can get on the line.
Do we have
and
that as a
submit it.
requirement?
Navid, I desperately want to put that into place for them. It's not going to happen on the weekend off, okay? Let's go one step back and ask ourselves, how does Tanya's organization hear about these girls that need, or these clients that need to be rescued? And the answer is a million different ways. A neighbor calls in a tip to Tanya or to one of the organizations that she's associated with. They answer the phone, they take down the information, and they, as soon as they hang up, they say, this is not us, this is Tanya. They call Tanya and say, here's a rescue that needs to happen. Dallas police calls her up and says, here's a rescue that needs to happen. The child or the client itself calls or reaches out to Tanya in some way, because she does advertise her phone number. But I think we can do so much better, right? I would like, not this stage, maybe some of us stay after the weekend and we implement a universal intake methodology. It should be a text. You can text us and we'll know from your text where you're located, right? Which means that SMS tie-in Today, we have no SMS tie-in. The same features should be available on Tanya's website. Fill it out, 3 lines, 2 lines. Tell us your name and your location, right? And that starts a case, right? So that's web to case, SMS to case, something like that. But I want for us to become what do they call that? Omni-channel, because more than anybody else, this needs omni-channel, right? The Dallas police, they don't necessarily have a nice sophisticated web form that they can fill out. You know, a policeman is going to say, hey, I know Tanya's SMS number is blah, blah, blah. He puts it in, he puts in the 2 things that are required, and that immediately, I want it. I think we need to go there, but we can't go there the weekend off, right? We just don't have the bandwidth.
I think once we have our case management process all lined out, and also just the first intake UI that generates your case behind the scenes, then just do a second version of enhancement of incorporating what else can generate that case, that can be a second down.
Intake, and we will talk to Tanya about the
Right.
Right, so once intake is complete, then we need to bring the person in, and we need to do an analysis. So there's an intake process, let's call it a case. Intake case, there's an analysis case, there is a, what do they call the next thing? For 2 days. Safe house, right? We have a safe house. That's not necessarily a case, as much as it is a stage. So there's the intake stage, there is the at-risk stage, or use a different term. Rest stage, right? So we need to capture the different stages and make sure that we know which case moves that stage to the next.
And not only that, I think the case itself, I know we're solutioning already, but in the case itself, it has, for example, let's assume it's a stage pick list, right? The case is moving through different stages within the same case, right, basically. And then that is already tied to your dynamic forms, and whatever that stage will show those form fields.
Can we do dynamic forms on contact?
I think so.
I think so. It's all
It's most of the standard
all,
objects.
Well, on case and contact. Sunita, can I do dynamic form on contact and case?
I thought it was all standard and custom objects now, dynamic forms.
They had progressed through them. I think they got through
Right.
most of the standard objects. Account and contact, I think, were the last.
Oh, okay.
So
We'll verify.
somebody has to decide, UX, you decide whether dynamic forms,
Yeah, dynamic forms always and often.
Yeah.
For sure.
always and often.
You bet.
So question,
Students in my class, dynamic forms, always and often, when available,
what is this process something that Tanya has said she needs help with? And what is the part of her job that she's currently struggling with that this will solve? Because we've moved already to kind of solutioning, and I want to hear a little
Step
bit.
back, yeah.
I want to ask those business analysis questions. We should all be asking, why are you using a dynamic form? What made you pick that? That's kind of what the teaching moment was hopefully going to be, or why do we need it?
Because Paul said always and often, right?
Yeah.
That's why we use dynamic.
One question maybe is, to begin with, are all this information that you are collecting, ultimately will they go into a contact object, or they will belong with, that will determine what are the forms that you are creating and how that data will flow to where, that we do not know yet.
So that's detail on the solution.
Right.
Yeah,
But we need to at least identify the contact related information or their process related information.
I think the object model is to be decided in terms of what is related to what and what is dependent on what. That is the second phase. First is initially, as Paul said, we already solutioning, we should step back a little bit. And
All
now
right,
I
let's
got you
let's
down
do
on
that.
Twitter for trying to solution when you're doing.
Was
a
this before or after you were
business
almost
interview. You
fired?
wanna Listen,
Right.
listen,
Yeah.
ask.
All right.
probing questions, and then tweet those solutions. But we're kind of a hybrid group.
So this is actually a very good point because all of us in the and we have a natural tendency to when we're supposed to be doing requirements gathering and yeah, our mind jumps to solutioning, right, which is a bad thing. So let's step back and kind of ask the question, why? Right? Why do we need all this data? Well, what Tanya has told us, if those of you who got a chance to listen to our mini discovery, she's also having a great deal of difficulty managing her donations and then reporting those donations. One of the kind of secrets in fundraising and in nonprofits is this. Most nonprofits, they're broke. They're literally broke. They go out of business, right? Just like so small business. They're fighting so hard to do the thing that they're doing that they can't do their fundraising. Now, the other part of that story is that the nonprofits that do succeed do one thing very, very well. And that is get on the calendar of the largest foundations that give out money. And they make a presentation every year. They do an ask, right? Cities like Dallas have huge foundations. We have very wealthy families that it's their job to give money away. But you have to ask for the money and you have to demonstrate what you did with that money last year. And you have to do it on a calendar. So every foundation publishes their calendar. What I mean by that is that, let's say you're asking for money for next year, 2024. So then they'll tell you that in 2023, I'm making all this up, by April, you will have sent us a letter of intent that, hey, I intend to ask you for some money. And here is what that format looks like. The foundation might tell you that. It may not be the same as the next foundation. And they might say, that deadline for us, Dallas Morning Charities, the Dallas Morning newspaper, they have a charities component called the Dallas Morning Charities. And they're a very good one, right? If you are an organization like Tanya's, you should be asking Dallas Morning Charity for a donation every year. They publish their schedule. They tell you, hey, by April 15th, we need your letter of intent, right? By June 5th, we need your proposal, right? We will evaluate those and we will invite you somewhere between October and November, or I don't know, September and October, to come and do a presentation. When we invite you, you better come down to our office and do a presentation. And then by November 15th or November 30th, we'll let you know how much money we're going to give you for the next year, right? So this is how professional fundraising works. The beautiful thing inside of Salesforce NPSP is that that's already baked in, right? There's a whole object that I think is they call it calendar object, right? I think it's called the calendar object, which actually keeps track of the calendar. Now, when you look at Tanya, she fails on a number of different counts. One is she doesn't have anybody who's disciplined enough to enter the data into the calendar and then respond against that calendar. So that's failure number one. But where we can help her right now is on her very first set of professional applications of this type, calendar applications, she will have to prove from her database how many kids she's rescued, how long it takes to rescue a child, how many failures she's had. In other words, bona fides of the organization. Right now, she's got it on 1 million pieces of paper. Year one, if we are doing this, then at the end of the year, the reporting team can come back and just run a simple report that says, we rescued X number of girls, we opened 15 cases on average for each child, we placed so many, and most of them, let's say 80% of them, are now in that final stage of sustenance, what do you call it, wraparound, right? That is the type of report that she needs in order to do the other part that we haven't even talked about, which is the fundraising component, right? So I think that she's asking us a lot of things without actually knowing that she's asking us all these items. So let's talk about the fundraising component. Yes, sir.
I have a question, once. So all this, like getting someone to go and correct the form, there's a cost to it. Everything has a cost, right? Now, when you say we are doing a fundraising and we have to report to people, to the donors, so should we also capture the cost somewhere? Or is it Tanya?
If you just follow the standard Salesforce NPSP, right? They have a method laid out. So if you fill out all the donation information correctly, then everything else is reports. So the idea, at least, the idea is that there is no additional cost, right? So on a donation, when you have a family, somebody has to input who that family is. When they make a commitment, you have to input how much they've committed this year. If there are family members, you have to capture that in the contact object, family member object. And then as the money comes in, you have to enter that you have received that money. Now, the good thing in Tanya's case is that she's using the credit card system that we set up for her 5 years ago, and that automatically updates the opportunity object. NPSP, if you get a chance to read it, it's a little bit weird, but very, very good. It's very weird in a very good way. It's weird in that they capture donations on the opportunity object, which I've always thought that's a little bit awkward. You know, that's the standard practice, and they're following the standard practice. And the credit card swiping company is actually putting that information in the opportunity object. We generate on donations, it's actually very accurate as long as the money came in through credit card. But what if somebody dropped off a check? We have to show her how to input that. But beyond that, I agree she needs an administrator, but I don't think she necessarily, I think maybe she can do 1 year without an administrator if she does this diligently. I'd like for her next year in her budget ask to actually have somebody in advancement, somebody who is constantly keeping track of the calendar. You see, if we get her to that point where she's got that one person, she's got the money to do that one person, and we pick the right person who knows how professional fundraising works, then the following year we'll go from, just the $100,000, whatever, to pay for that lady, to $1 million, where now she's really doing some million or 2 or 3 million, but she's really doing some good things. But right now we have to do it on a shoestring. I don't know if that answered your question. It's not a very good answer, but.
Sandeep,
Andy.
one quick thing. I do not know in
NPSP.
if there is a campaign object, like
Yes, there
campaign.
is.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, we can run campaigns.
So campaign has a feature in it to capture the cost for each campaign and then report on it. I'm just.
Yeah. I think we have to do something about capturing costs, but I think that adding cost right now to capture cost is pretty counterintuitive.
So I'm just wondering, do we have a gauge of the current state that I know we went through the org and see what they're using and what they're not using. What is the current state of in terms of donation and donors, how they're managing it?
Yeah.
I know on their website, you go and donate and it goes, I think it's going into their org.
It
into
is.
Salesforce.
It is.
That's where it's creating, also it's creating their accounts, household accounts and everything in Salesforce org right now. I looked at the case management. There was some cases in there, not a whole lot. I just
And
need to
they're, I
deep dive
think
a little
they're
bit more.
old cases. I think
Right.
it's when.
It's mostly test cases that we
test cases,
created.
Yeah.
There's an intake form already there
Okay.
but the form is like, as Paul will see and really cringe on it, it's about 40 fields on the form, all on a single from top to bottom. So, I mean, there is already a lot of work that we did last time.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we have a gauge of the current state in terms of how this business is using it.
Okay.
In terms of, and where they're not using and where is that information going? So that then we can take that and say, okay, where the gap is and what we need to do.
Your team.
Yeah.
Has first shot
Yeah.
at Tanya
No,
on
second
Friday
shot.
night.
Mine is second.
Oh, who's got first shot?
Sunita will have
Ooh.
first shot.
Sunita may beat me on it. So.
Sunita, okay.
Well, yes, I heard. And let me know if I'm assuming this correctly. So the donations, the fundraising and the tracking, it doesn't sound like she may have much problem with organizing and scheduling as much as she needs that data to be able to prove that she's doing that job. And to be able to track that, and that might be anything that we do in there should probably be tying back to the reporting and tracking capability for and that becomes kind of our central skeletal data model.
I think, Nish, what I'd love for you to be able to do, you and your team,
Mhm.
is if you can look at the custom reports that she's created. Oh, I should look at Nish here, right? Nish, if you would, before the March 3rd weekend, look at the various reports that custom reports that she's got, and kind of get a sense of, is she even using, that level of reporting yet, okay? I think.
Okay.
And
Apparently dynamic forms is available on content.
Mhm.
People that are able to Google on our online.
as of spring 23, okay,
Yeah.
information, guys, you learn
Spring
here.
23.
We feed you, we give you cake, well, we give you cookies, and we educate you. So as of,
Dynamic forms are available on cases.
case and lead, how about,
Because it used to be, I think this contacts, I don't know what other objects, but as of this release, I do know those two objects have been added. to
Yeah.
Dynamic.
excellent, thank you. How about account?
It seems like it was supposed to be on the schedule already, but as I said, I think let's put that answer. Custom objects, accounts, person accounts, contacts, opportunities, cases.
All right, good.
Cool.
All right,
So-
excellent.
Question, Moise, like Paul said that currently, I have it, currently, their org is already, once Nashita comes up with the reporting and see out what level they are managing their donations and donors. I mean, that part on it, and we just have to make sure that we make it solid in terms of how it needs to be used. I think that there are two major parts of this organization, right? One is managing all the donors and donations. That's this bucket that they have to do.
Yes,
To raise the money, to raise the funds, to support the services that is provided by this organization.
yes.
So the services part is where she's having a huge issue in terms of managing that. Because right now it's all on paper, all her clients, which are the people who get rescued, are on paper. They're sitting in case management files.
Yeah.
And they literally don't know, I mean, unless somebody's keeping up in a very methodical way, organized way, then maybe they have a handle on it. But, and she doesn't even have an overview in terms of, on her fingertips, she can see what is going on.
I think
I mean,
this is-
that's what we need to
Yeah.
provide her.
I
mean,
think
that's the
that's
major
part of-
thrust of it. I
Yeah.
think her pain point is there.
Yeah, I think if you ask her, where are you? She grapples,
Right.
and this is every small business's problem, right? Is that you're doing the business, but you don't know how much money you've got in the bank, and you don't know how much inventory you've got, those types of things. So if we can solve some of these problems,
Yeah.
how many girls does she have in each stage? What are the urgent tasks for today? What are the cases that have reached critical mass? And any case that reaches critical mass, predefined by whatever, that should show up on her dashboard right away. I think that's going to be really important for her. Yes, miss.
Yeah. My question is that, does she have all the required licenses to operate in her org, or does she need to purchase additional licenses? And also, what type of edition that is she planning to implement in her org?
Who wants to answer that?
I can.
Go ahead.
Since she has a nonprofit pack, NSPS, nonprofit service pack, success pack rather, they provide you 10 licenses already to start with. She is not even utilizing 10 licenses. So her need is not on the license based. It is how she's using the org or not using it to how it needs to be used. So that's where her pain point is, more on that side of it. Well, that's something that we will
We
find
actually
out.
don't know that.
We don't
That's-
know
we
that. What
asked-
is the number? That's a good question.
Yeah.
The number of cases. So, I mean, right now they're not even logging cases in this
Correct,
org.
yeah.
So that's a good question.
We do have an admin or one of her volunteers. So the question is, do we know how many, for the online people, the question is, do we know how many cases she's got active right now? And the answer is actually not. But we do have an admin who's committed to taking all the paper forms from all the filing cabinets and typing them in during the weekend of
Right.
our stand-up. So guys, there's a lot more we need to talk about, but I want to kind of move the process along a little bit. We haven't talked about security yet, but I think what we're beginning to understand is that there's going to be at least 2 or 3 layers of security. There's going to be a sysadmin type security, there's going to be an intake type security, and then there's going to be very specific process type security with possibly with permission sets for each individual step along the way. And we've got a team that's going to be dedicated to working on that. I'd like to invite everybody who's in the room as well as listening online to think about which team you'd like to be on. Now, I'll tell you, in the past, the way we've done this is it's not rigid at all, right? You sign up for a team on day one. There's the team lead who kind of basically leads the team towards solutioning and actually hands-on solutioning as well. Everybody will have their own login to the sandbox. So don't worry, none of us is going to touch real life data except for Paul. Well, Paul, because he knows how to do it. But everybody will have their own login to her sandbox, right? And your team lead will assign that to you. So your first step before the weekend off is if you would select a team you'd like to be on. So again, Sarah, do we already have the sign up form live?
So I'm going to correct you a little bit on that.
Ooh.
So the way team lead sign up is going to work is it's not actually. So you have up until the night of, until I stand up on stage and I say, team leads, please come on stage. You have up until that very moment to decide what team you're going to be on, okay? Friday night is going to be all about getting you logged in. And when I stand up on stage and say, team leads, please come up, we're going to kick off. And then you can go with whichever team lead you want
They
to.
don't have to make a commitment today.
Not yet, because we've still got I've said the sign up
Because
will
we
be
don't have a
open.
sign up for.
No. The sign up will be open until you can come in. We're allowing walk-ins.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So
So sign up is the March 3rd, evening of March 3rd.
yes,
All right.
yes. And then one special caveat is how many of you guys have heard about the Salesforce MVP program? How many of you guys want to be MVPs? So I am giving you all a chance to fight for your own MVP this weekend. So each of our team leads is going to be monitoring you very closely. And so
Not
it is,
closely, kind of semi.
yep, okay.
Did you show up? Did you participate? Yeah.
And they're going to select one MVP for the weekend from each team. And you will get a special little.
That's not Salesforce. That's T Digital.
It's
MVP.
T Digital. Yes, it is T Digital MVP.
More prestigious, if you ask me.
I agree. Yes.
But in any case, we will give that weekend's MVP does get a badge that they can put on LinkedIn.
Everybody gets a badge, but they will get a special
They
badge.
get the MVP.
And
badge.
you will get a special prize
All
as
right.
well.
Very cool. Thanks, Sarah.
One other thing, so one of the fun things, even though we're talking about signing up and what team you want to be on, when you're on a team, you're not stuck on that.
That's correct. Yeah.
We had a lot of people that once we got what we needed done, hey, I'm bored with security, I'm bored with UX, I want to go work on something else, and you're able to, you're not locked in, you're not handcuffed to a desk.
Yes.
We will be pushing to try and get stuff done. If you don't have something to do, or if you see something more interesting, help us figure out, we're all there to get it done, and you should be able to get as
Agreed.
much experience as available
Right.
Without getting locked into a single role.
We also have enrichment sessions during the weekend. And so you can leave your project and go enrichment session. Enrichment session of what's happening in the industry right now. I think GM Financial might hold one for, hey, do you want to work for GM Financial? What does that mean? We'll likely have one on dynamic forms. So we have these mini 20, 30-minute sessions that you can attend, their enrichment sessions. So again, you're not tied to a team. It's kind of getting late, so I don't want to. Yes, sir.
Moise, I have a question. I forgot. Do we need to bring our laptop?
Yes. Yes. Please, 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 please bring
So,
your laptop.
None
and
of
a
this weekend
charger.
is done on paper and pencil. Okay. Please bring your own laptop. We won't have laptops that you can use. So please bring yours.
Also, I think since a lot of participants are getting familiarized with Salesforce, you should have your own devforce.com dev instance. That'll be good, because I know we will have training sessions that we are doing also. So you can follow the trainer in those dev instances. Yeah.
Please.
For some reason, we are not able to hear the audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but
Oh, it's the microphone.
Okay. I sent out an email as of 7 o'clock last night with the trailheads. I am going to resend out that sign up. If you are signed up on the QR code that we had earlier on, or if you go right now to T as in Thomas .digital/IGTBOK. Once again, that's T as in Thomas .digital/IGTBOK. IGTBOK. I will resend out that link for the trailheads for the nonprofit starter pack.
Why should they do the trailhead? What's in it for me?
Because you will be entered into a special raffle for some Astro slippers. So yes,
Hard to get.
they are hard to get. They are very hard to get.
Saving those for special. Keep in mind. Yeah, keep in mind those. Maybe grown. Definitely.
There is no QR code in the website that you mentioned. Is it just the Google form that we need to sign up there?
I'll also send out through, I'll have Paul send out through Bevy an email blast with the sign up.
I put the link in the chat. so
Perfect.
the teacher who is in the chat. so-
Awesome. And share that. That's perfectly okay. Come for whatever time you can. We would just love to have you, and bring a friend, bring your friends that, you know, are trying to get into Salesforce. Maybe they don't really know what they want to do and they're just trying to find something. Bring whoever. I need help with the caring committee. Yeah, who doesn't have a raffle ticket? Please hold up your hand so that way you can get a raffle ticket. We have some fun items. We have some T-Digital swag. Over the weekend, we will have plenty of swag for you guys as well. Everybody will be going home with something at the stand-up weekend.
I have an early MVP nomination.
Oh, okay.
Who has managed to gather donations already during this meeting? So thank you already for.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Second place is still up for grabs.
Definitely. Yeah. Yes, we will definitely, we'll do that. It would be helpful to have it. Yes, 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 yes. We'll send out an email for sure. Actually, you know what? We'll put it on our website. We'll put it on the TDigital/IGTBOK.
Don't expect this to be a well-oiled machine. This is a bunch of professionals doing fifth grade soccer, where everybody kind of runs with the ball. In the end, we're not playing like that. So it will be a little bit of a free for all. There to help, whatever skills you got can be used or to help in some other way. But yeah, I had somebody, hey, can I write Apex code? I don't know, but if you can write Apex code, probably be able to do something while we're there. We had a question back there. So.
Question, yes. Oh, raffle tickets. Dad, we need more raffle tickets. While Dad is doing that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can expect on Friday night, okay? Everyone's going to get here at 6:00 p.m. Not here, not in this building. You're going to be in JSOM, which is the Jindal School of Management. And we will have directions posted on our website. Yes. So please continue to go to t.digital/IGTBOK for all updates, parking passes, maps, everything that you will need. So Friday night, you get here at 6:00 p.m. and there will be dinner and networking for about an hour. And then at 7:00 p.m., we're going to go ahead and get started. And we are going to start the entire weekend off with a proclamation from the city of Richardson stating that March 3rd, 4th, and 5th is It's Going to Be Okay Salesforce stand-up weekend. I am very proud of that fact. We're actually going to have Mayor Pro Tem, I forgot her name. She will be Janet DePoy, I think is how you say her name. She will be there issuing the proclamation. Then Tanya's going to speak. I'm going to speak. You're going to listen to me ramble on for a few minutes about everything that I just told you guys. You're going to hear Dad speak again. You're going to hear Dr. Bose speak. Yes, yes, definitely. Exactly. There we go. And then it's going to be high, high, high energy for the team lead kickoff. And we will have all of our wonderful team leads come up on stage and they will whisk you away and you'll start working for the weekend. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the T Digital raffle. Who's excited? Yeah. The bowl.
Nope, yours is still good. Mine, the other one is dead.
Okay. Where's the raffle bowl? Hold on, I'm just gonna start. Oh, raffle bowl. There we go. Alrighty, we're gonna get you guys home as soon as possible. No coupons? Okay, we're gonna do. So the first thing we are gonna be raffling off are. Alrighty. Alrighty, the first ticket. 449862. Alrighty, for some more T Digital hats, we have 449870. Woohoo! There we go. Oh, no, I already got it. Oh, that's yours. Alrighty, another T Digital hat. Two more. 449876. You're gonna get a ton of swag.
Lots more swag on weekend off, right?
Yes, tons more. There's some Yetis. 449873. Four, 49883. Woohoo, right there. Now, T Digital t-shirt. Good night. That's all right. We have 449880. Alrighty, what shirt size would you like? All right, 449887. Perfect. Do we have any more?
We have all small.
You want? Do you want a small one? Okay.
You want, I'll get one to you.
Oh,
Just
let's
give
swap
me
it
a-
out for a. Let's swap it out for a.
Oh, how about this instead?
All right, 449891. Perfect. Let me pass that, or there we go. All righty. 449885. Right over here. Perfect. Okie dokie. Yes, he is. 449863. Perfect.
There we go. And
449872. No. Okay. Perfect. 857. 857. Oh, right here. Perfect.
All right. I think that wraps it up for the.
It does.
All
Thank
right,
you,
guys.
guys.
March 3rd, 6 p.m. It's going to be fun, I promise you. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but Sunday evening, you're not going to. So I'll see you then. Keep an eye on your email and hang around and talk. We still have pizza, we still have cookies. Thanks for coming today, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody online. We're going to go ahead and close the meeting. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see everybody next week
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
and next month. Thank you, Gal.